what do you think about that? Like,
Dude, I think people leave the Bay Area. I agree with it, but I don't
okay,
at the same time, right?
okay,
I
what do you
do that
not agree?
because I think it's making a statement to kind of show California that it's too goddamn expensive and it is too populated. It is overpopulated. There's a fine line that California is starting to cross where it's becoming almost too controlling and
Mhm.
possessive over lives. And so I get why, people are leaving, right? So like whether that possession is cost of living, whether that possession is laws, whether it's like how you're supposed to act or
Right.
mindset, whatever it is, there's a possession coming over. So I don't disagree with it. But like also there's a part of me that's like you come to live here knowing that you're paying that price and those prices, whether, like I said, whether monetary
Right.
or anything else, because of how nice it is,
Right.
because it's
So
a great place to live.
besides, like, California is a sunshine tax state. You pay this premium to live in a state that almost always has good weather, or it's fairly warm all the time. Besides that, you're coming from Michigan, which is cold. So what are some bigger, like, pros for you that you realize what you're paying for? What do you think? Is it like being near the water? I mean, you're near the water too in Michigan, I guess, if you're near one of the Great Lakes, but like, I mean, what are the pros? Like, what are some big pros?
I guess the biggest pro to living out here, and the way I'll put it, anyone that comes out to California or any sunshine state, is that there's never nothing to do.
Yeah, it's true.
In Michigan, I grew up on the east side, so the west side of Michigan might get mad at me because they got like sand dunes and shit like that. Well, on the east side, we have
Really?
fucking businesses and suburbs, like um, that's the extent. So there's a lot of downtime, right? There's a lot of me twiddling my thumbs, and I feel like a lot of people in Michigan for their fun
Uh-huh.
is working to get to Friday so they can go drink with their friends Friday and Saturday at a bar.
Right.
Like that's the mindset. So up until around Friday at 6 p.m., not a lot of people have a lot of shit going on, right?
It's kind of rinse and repeat.
Right. But when you come here, there's something to do every day. On my Saturdays, I feel bad if I sleep into 10 o'clock. It's like,
Right,
oh
right,
fuck. Like I slept some of my day away because like there's fucking hiking, there's the beach, there's amazing cities, there's
right,
there's a garden in Oakland that I love to go chill on. There's the lake with live
right.
music. There's like just
There's
so
somewhere to
much
be.
here.
You don't want
Yeah,
to, there's no need to just want to sit inside. Like, you want
right.
to, you feel like you're missing out, right? Like, you just feel like you're missing out. That's cool.
You get mad FOMO over here. Like
Yeah, exactly. I mean, California, that's like, especially if you go to LA, right? Like, LA is the city that's all about vibes, TikTok, social media life. It's all about the FOMO, who has the coolest car, where's the best gear. Like, that's what so much of LA is about. And like, it kind of spreads to the rest of California. Like, California has a giant vibe of being FOMO. Like, you come to DC, you come to Baltimore, you come to New York, it's very like aggressive. Everyone's in your
right.
face. Everyone's really about their work. They kind of just go on with their day. You walk outside at 8 a.m. Monday in New York City, it's like coffee, bagel, 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 wait for the taxi. Like, everything is very intense. You come out of San Francisco, people are walking their dogs, smoking their joint. Like, it's like a
Oh
whole
yeah.
different.
It's a different vibe. So like that's one thing too. I will say difference between like LA and San Francisco is yeah, LA there is a FOMO of like having that image, right? Of like
Right,
having like
clout.
that popular, like
Right,
almost popularity contest, a giant popularity contest in LA.
right,
But San Francisco, it's more like a fear of missing out of just like genuine shit to do, right?
right,
There's a weird vibe up here that is like everyone is accepting of what you are doing and
right.
really doesn't care about what you're doing.
Mhm.
And if you want to be gay, straight, lesbian, whatever,
Right, right.
they're huge fans, right?
They're
This is like
huge
the
fans.
acceptance capital of the world, I would say. Like
Right,
everything,
right,
anything you possibly want to do, you can do here. No one
right,
gives a
right.
shit. But because no one gives a shit, also like there's no like popularity contest. There's no like I want to try and make these friends. It's like I'm gonna do my little thing over here, and you're gonna
Yeah,
accept that. Like also, we're not gonna like intertwine our
right.
things. You know
The
what I mean? Like
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only time that shows up is like It's like the tech bros, finance bros, which I've definitely been a part of. It's like the
Right.
guys are like, oh, what company do you work at? Oh, like what do you do at that company, right? Like, or that's like the big thing. Oh, you work at Google. Like, whoa, okay, that's cool. Like, what do you do for Google?
Yeah.
That's kind of like how you. That's like if you were in LA, it'd be like, oh, how many Instagram followers do you have, or how many Twitter followers do you have? That's like the same thing in San Francisco as being like, oh, you have a company. How much money have you raised? What do you do? How many engineers do you have? Like everything is very, they
Yeah.
want to, it's like a bigger dick contest there. It's
Oh,
like very
100%.
of that tech finance. Oh, how much money did you guys raise? Oh, no problem. I sold my company to blah, blah, blah. Like that's your opener when you meet people. They're like, oh, what do you do? It's like, oh, I just sold my company. I'm
Yeah.
just chilling. It's like, okay,
Yeah. You're not wrong, man. That's why like I always preach Oakland is way different than San Jose and San Francisco because
right,
that's how it is, right? San Jose and San Francisco have like the yeah, you wake up and you smoke a joint, but also still have that little bit of New York, LA vibe of
right,
like, yo, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like I've
right.
sold this
Oakland
company,
has
I'm a
that. Yeah.
millionaire by this age. And like Oakland doesn't give a shit. Like Oakland
Oakland
and
has
Berkeley, it's just like whatever, man. Like, like do your thing, you live in $1 million house, cool. You live in the apartments, cool. Like no one cares.
right. That's tight. Yeah. So you've been out there for like 7 months. You're liking it and everything. Would you go back to Michigan anytime soon? Like, is your work's remote?
I actually go back to Michigan Sunday
Oh wow.
um, for the holidays. I'm spending with
Okay.
my girlfriend's family.
Okay.
Uh, it should be fun. I'm not looking forward to it because there's snow there on the ground right now. So like that's gonna suck.
Right.
But other than that, I look forward to being around people. I think one of the shittiest parts about moving out here and having it being during COVID is that along with the difficulty that people already kind of just want to be left alone and do their own thing, now people really want to be left alone and do their own thing because you're not trying
Right.
to spread a virus, right? So outside of my roommate and maybe like a few other people, I don't hang out with anyone. I don't get out. There's no going to the bar and like making new
Right.
friends. Like I haven't done that. So a little bit of me is excited to go home because I'm excited to see people. I'm excited to like,
At least yeah.
yeah, have honestly kind of in a weird way have options. You'd be like, oh, I can go hang out with this person today. I can go hang out
Right.
like
Yeah.
being mindful, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's hard. The COVID life is hard, especially if you like don't like actually know anyone, or like you don't like if you don't physically know someone and you just read stuff online, like maybe you get a little depressed, read stuff, but you have to be reminded. Like it's so hard to like just you feel like you're like, oh wait, we live in a pandemic, because like it doesn't feel like that sometimes, right? You see people going out, you see people like doing things like they normally would, and it's like you're like, all right, well, I'm gonna go do that too. And then you're like, wait a minute, I gotta wear a mask to go inside to use the bathroom. And you're like, oh right, it's a global pandemic. Like that's
Yeah.
that.
It's
It's crazy.
it just celebrated its year-long birthday, man. It's just.
They it does, like it felt way longer than a year, but then I'm like, what was I doing a year ago? Like so much has happened. 2020 is like literally been a black hole. So like
Oh, yeah.
huge, like dude, Kobe died in January. Like that blows my mind every time I think about it. Like January,
Kobe died this year. Yeah. That's a
like
weird thing.
that happened this year. Like that
That's
is
not funny,
it's
but like that's crazy.
it's not, yeah, it's not funny, but it is crazy. Like you just like how iconic he was, that literally every month we're reminded of him. And it's like a timestamp for me, because it's like, okay, well, I can use that as like a reference to be like, okay, that was January. And then the rest of the months like kind of blur out because COVID, you're like, what did I do from like
Yeah.
May to July?
Yeah,
You kind of,
yeah, man, it's weird, and like, especially being someone who went from school to graduated and
yeah.
full-time job, man, like, it's it's strange to think about, like, this day last year, I had went maybe yesterday, let's say
Mhm.
yesterday of last year, right? So 366 days ago. I had went to a birthday party in Detroit, no mask or anything, bar
Right.
hopped. Um, funny story, got drunk, so drunk that I pissed on the dresser in the hotel. It happens,
Yes.
we're the best of us. But like, I didn't piss myself. I just pissed on the
Yeah, you piss on
dresser.
the dresser. It's cool as long as it's
Yeah,
not
it's okay,
yourself. It's
right?
the dresser. Fuck the dresser. It's like, fuck them.
um, and then the next day went and got a tattoo on the back of my neck because I had
That's
parked my
crazy.
car at my tattoo artist's place. And that's how my day went. And like this year today, I like worked an 8 to 5, and sat in my house and talked to nobody besides doing the podcast
Right.
because of
Dude,
COVID. Like it's
it's
crazy.
bizarre, especially if you like go to your Instagram and check like your archives, or it tells you what you did 1 year ago today, or Snapchat. Snapchat memories tells you you're like, it feels surreal. You're like, how did that
Yeah.
happen a year ago? And
Well,
now, yeah,
I think like coming out of college too, like the craziest part is like, God, I was fucking ridiculous in college, right? You just
dude,
like
I was, yeah, it was totally
ridiculous things are
ridiculous.
accepted, man. Like it's weird how much ridiculous shit's accepted in
It
college. And you're
is.
just like, this is the norm.
It's so accepted to like come back to your apartment at 3 a.m. after having coffee, and like even if you didn't
Yeah.
study, like you just hang out with buddies, you go out to the late night and get a meal from the campus
Yeah.
diner, and like that's like a normal thing. And then you come home at 3 a.m. Like, oh, it's 3 a.m. Okay, well I got go to bed, wake up for
Yeah.
class. I come home, I'm like, I'm home now. I'm in Maryland, right? So I
Yeah.
live with my fam. I got a cool house. I'm lucky, and
Yeah.
I come home and like after work sometimes, and I'm like, it's like 7, 8. And my dad's like watching TV, and I'm like, let's get hammered. Like I want,
Yeah.
like, what are you doing?
What's
Like,
everyone doing?
what's everyone doing? Like we're done for the day. Like let's because that's like your normal thing. College, it's like,
Yeah.
what are you guys doing? Like, why are we
Yeah.
not drinking while studying? Why are we not ordering Domino's pizza for the 5th time in the past 3 days? Like everything there is so. But then you get home and you realize, like, damn, to grow up, there's food in the fridge that's not ramen, and you got to
Yeah.
like actually cook it and eat it and operate like a human being. You got to actually do your dishes. Like you got to do stuff that you in college is so acceptable to leave your it's you can just do whatever with your dishes. You're even the stingy roommates in college are like, okay, 2 days fine, but can you clean it? At home it's like your parents see it and they're like, put that away, put that away right now. You're like, I just finished eating, like chill out, like
There was, yeah, like there was no dishes, man. We had plastic silverware. You
Yeah,
went to Costco, got those big things of plastic
right,
silverware.
500 spoons, and you're like,
Yeah.
halfway through the semester and you're like, all right, time to get more. Like we've just
Right.
that's it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it is bizarre. And like you change, like how fast you change is like crazy. Like, yeah, I went to, I wore sneakers throughout my whole house because I was afraid to not wear sneakers throughout my house. You know what I
Right.
mean? In college, and now it's like I got a fucking Roomba. I'm in bed by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I got nice ass food in the cupboards. I'm always cooking up something good. You
All
know what I
right.
mean? Like
You're growing
it,
up.
yeah, you are grown up, and it is a weird transition. One of the things I point out to a lot of my friends is the fact that I understand how people that were poor, because I grew up very blue collar,
Mhm.
um, and when you finally get some money, I get how like they gain weight because, dude, I am eating so fucking good right now.
Dude, it's
I can buy like 50 packs of Oreos if I want to, and I can buy
right.
like all this shit, and like it's
And because
awesome.
that's how we think, right?
Yeah,
Like we don't think like, oh, I could buy like nice, good ground beef, 90%, 80%, cook myself some nice tacos and stuff. Like we quantify money by how much bad food could I buy? Like I do the same thing. I'm like, damn, I got like a paycheck. I could literally buy so much Taco Bell. Like I eat so much Taco Bell. And for me, it's like that's how I quantify it. I'm like, damn, I could buy a lot of burritos right now. Like I love beef burritos. Like that's just how I do it. And that's like the spooky thing is because like we haven't like we don't think, oh wait, I should probably not spend 50% of my paycheck on junk food anymore. Like I'm an adult now. Like I gotta grow up and stuff.
yeah.
But it's a change for sure.
Right. Well, and I understand how like a lot of people also gain weight because like people in Michigan, you get a job and you graduate, like you just have a fuck ton of money to spend at the bar. And like the bar at college is like, it's not too pricey, but I know in Kalamazoo, there's a downtown. And if you went downtown, you had to like save up, and you probably would spend like $50 to $100 that night, and you were
Right.
saving for that, right?
Right.
And like now un- I have a little bit of a different transition, right? Because drinks over here are $20 a piece. So
Right.
like it's basically like I'm back in college when I go out to the
Right.
bar. I pregame hard, but
Right.
if I was in Michigan still making what I make, I think I'd lose I might be an alcoholic, to be honest. I think I might be like,
Yeah. Like that, I mean, that's why people are going remote because they're making SF Cali pay and then they go to like Texas, Nevada, Delaware. They're going to like places 0% state income tax. They're going to places where it's warm, cheaper. I mean, dude, Austin, Houston, um, New Orleans is booming now. Like everyone is just like trying to go out because they're like, damn, we're making so much money. And 100K in California is like 150K in Texas. Like
Yeah. Oh
between
yeah. And
cost of things and tax, like
oh
you're
yeah.
making your buying power is so much more. It's like, why would I? Okay, I'll give up the beach for a year or two, but let me go live in a
Yeah.
city where I can do so much more with my money. I mean,
100%. For people that don't know, the adjusted cost of living for for California is 37% from Michigan. So I would have to make 37% more. So if I
more.
made $100,000 in Michigan, I would have to make $137,000 in California to maintain the same lifestyle. So like think about how big $37,000. Just think how big of a difference that is in
It's a
Michigan, right?
lot.
That's
That's
two new
massive.
cars. That's
That yeah,
like that's two like brand new like Chevys, but like it's still two new cars, right? That's a
it's
brand
too.
new Mercedes, right? A
Yeah,
Mercedes C class, like
you're
you
getting
know.
this. Yeah, exactly. You can get an entry luxury vehicle with that money. Like that's how big of a difference is, and it's absurd. Like, what are you doing? And like you're saying, you go back to Michigan. It's like you said, not much stuff to do in like society of those people that make decent money or even average income, but they don't have anything else to spend on. It's like, okay, they just go out and go out and go out. Like you're drinking, you're in that cycle. Let me go out to drink. Let me go out to eat fast food. Let me rinse and repeat it. And then like, especially kids our age, right? Like our
Yeah,
mentality is, I'm young. Like, why wouldn't
yeah.
I keep doing that? Like, is this your first time living alone? Like, how have you lived besides college? Like any
No,
summers?
yeah, so like I have one roommate right now and yeah, it's chill, man. I've lived with people my whole life. It wasn't a crazy adjustment because I grew up in apartments and condos, so like
Mhm.
it wasn't like nothing too crazy of a transition. I think the biggest transition actually is the fact that in college you live with your like best of friends, like the people you know in and out.
Yeah,
And I didn't know my roommate in and out. And one of the weirdest adjustments is the fact that my roommate's a very introverted person. So he's very much like can just sit on his computer or play video games by himself in his
right,
room for like hours, right? And I'm not. I'm an extroverted person. I'm used to always having people around to do
right,
something with and doing stuff, or like even someone to like shoot the shit with me on the couch. And like that's just not him. And it's like that's probably the weirdest thing about my living situation now is that making that adjustment of like, okay, well, you don't have, I graduated living with six people or five other
Jesus.
people, so there's six of us, right,
Wow,
in a condo. So like I don't have five other people to go to hang out with in a day, right?
right.
If he doesn't
Damn,
want to hang out, it's
five
just
people. That's a
me
lot.
solo dolo in it.
Yeah, five people, man. That's literally there's bound to be one of your roommates is always down to do something.
Oh, exactly. They
That's
were.
insane. Five. So guys were six. I mean, yeah, I guess I always lived with a total of four. I was
Right,
including me is four. Never had six. I mean, I always lived on campus, but still, like that's
right.
damn, six is wild. I can't imagine how that condo
Right.
was.
And then the frat house back like sophomore year was
Right.
24 people or 23 people. So like
Oh my God.
man,
Yeah. See, at we're not allowed to have on. Was that house on campus for you
yeah,
guys? Yeah.
kind of no, it was off campus. But the way Western set up is like it's like Western's campus, student living and shit to do. Like
Okay.
it's not like you gotta drive. I know a lot
Okay.
of major
Okay.
universities you gotta drive like like not a far as distance, but like
You got to
10
whip to
minutes off of
class, or
campus.
okay.
No, like
Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
could walk to campus from our fraternity in like
Yeah.
less than a mile.
That's literally how our school, UMBC, is a fairly small school. It's literally a giant circle, which honestly people geek on it, but it's pretty convenient. Like you enter campus through one end, and it's just a giant loop around the whole campus, and inside that loop is all your
Everything.
yeah,
It's
everything
the
from
best design
living.
for a university.
Yeah, it's
Western
the best
the same way.
design. It's not a pretty school,
No.
it looks like a German architecture from the 60s. Like it's very bland, but it's efficient. Honestly, I can get from one end to the other end of campus literally in like a minute and a half. So that works out. But yeah, dude, our frat house, like I definitely, yeah, it definitely did not have 23 people in it. Well, 23 people that would live there every day. Sometimes it would have
Right.
23 people in it that would be crashing and like, but not living there. So, but that's
Dude,
crazy.
yeah, man, and like it would get real crazy when we'd throw parties, right? And like
Right.
there'd be I think our biggest party was either our opener or either first semester or second semester opener. Both of them were pretty crazy. We'd have anywhere from like 400 to 500 people
Dude,
at
that's
that house.
sounds so fun. Yeah, our school is nothing like that. Like maybe not saying that we throw parties at that house,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
maybe we would have at most like we cap at 150. I mean, we'd
yeah,
make good money. We made good money. I mean, it was great, but damn, see, that's what I always envied. I always envied schools that had like these big frat houses because I joined my fraternity. I joined Pi Cap very late. I
yeah,
joined in my senior year because I was taking an extra semester. So basically, I was
yeah,
around 3 semesters.
yeah,
So I joined late, and then the last of it, COVID happened. So it was like, okay, you kind of basically I got 1 semester post rushing, and then
yeah.
a half semester. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's a good experience. PyCap is to dope. I mean, we're
Yeah, well, what's weird is we're not even our chapter wasn't even considered at our max. Our chapter is like 100 people, 110, I think we got to, and we eventually got shut down. But that's not even the biggest, man. Like our chapter, like Alabama has like 250 people or some shit like
active.
that. It's insane.
250 active.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
not
our
inactive.
yeah, our chapters had I was 494. Our chapter, and I was like 3 classes ago. So top
Yeah,
we're at like 520 ever
yeah,
since 97 when we were chartered. Like that's it. And classes at Alabama and like big state schools, 250.
yeah,
Holy shit. But I mean, like for me, I am glad that we had a small listing. I mean, you get to know everyone in and out. It's
yeah.
pretty tight. Like I can't imagine rushing with 250 kids. Like, I mean
No
that
shot. I tell you
yeah.
what though, that house. I don't know if you ever looked up a picture of that house. That house
No,
is
I
fucked
have.
up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
God. I mean, if I could relive something, it would be go to college, uh, just be like don't focus about school. Just pick something I can easily pass by in. Don't worry about anything. Rush a fraternity my freshman year, second semester as soon as I could, and just be a total frat bro for 4 years at a big state school. I can't imagine what I would see. Like I
Yeah.
can't imagine. Like our school's not that big. It's a STEM oriented liberal arts
Yeah.
school. Like it's kind of nerdy. It's like we got people doing Naruto runs around like campus and stuff. It's like a little like what I mean. So it's like we don't get that experience, but I can't imagine the shit people see at those big state schools,
Oh
dude.
yeah. Well, like, you hear the stories and stuff like that too. I think
Right.
it's crazy. And well, the degree thing's interesting, right? Because like I don't know, what'd you get a degree in?
So I did information systems. So it's literally
Okay.
like
Info
it's
systems. Okay.
just glorified IT. Like I will turn your router on and off. Like that's pretty much what we learned in a sophisticated manner. Like
Gotcha.
that's it. Yeah.
Gotcha. See, like what's crazy is like I'm a fashion merchandising major, and then
Right.
like I don't know, man. Like really, realistically, if I was to give advice to anybody out there who wants to be
Mhm.
a modern man, fucking get whatever business degree you desire, and then just like have your fun through your school. And at the end of the day, when it comes game time, just know that you can present yourself well. Honestly,
Yeah.
I advise having just an okay degree, like let's say the most basic degree, sales and marketing degree, right? Most
Right.
basic
Stuff like
business
that.
degree, and then having actual work experience to back it
That's all that
over having
matters,
some
dude.
crazy ass degree.
Dude, it's all that matters. Like, I mean, everyone has their own objectives. Everyone wants to do other things. I did an entrepreneurship minor and an econ minor, so I love entrepreneurship stuff, and I'm all about that. It's not for everyone. I
Yeah,
totally understand that, but like that again, like I agree with what you're saying. It's like it's not about some crazy major that's going to make you a certain amount of money. It's just about what you're interested in and what your hustle is, right? Like you do,
yeah,
it's literally what it comes down to. Like if I could redo the way I'm living now, but college, it would be generate passive income. Passive income is like key, right? You hear Gary Vee talk
fucking
about it.
huge.
Yeah, you hear everyone talk about it. But like it's massive. Like passive income, when you first get passive income, doesn't feel passive because you're hustling so hard to make it passive.
Right,
But you have to think 3 years down the road, if you keep doing what you're doing right now, will it still be passive? And if it is, and you can automate it and make it easier for you, like that is the key. Whether it's the
right,
classic people that talk about drop shipping, whether it's like flipping how you know what I mean? Like people have their own methods. And I'm not gonna sell some plan. Like I
right,
don't know anything about like I do, but I'm not here to sell it to anyone. Like no one,
yeah,
none of us are. And that's always a catch. If anyone's selling you anything, there's a reason that they're selling it to you. Like
right,
always keep that in mind for people. Like people are always like, oh, like what do you think of this person and their plan? It's like, dude, if it worked out so well, why would they be selling it to you? You know what I
right.
mean? Like, why would the guy that made if this guy made $10 million off his idea, why would he sell it to you for $100? What does that $100 mean to him, right?
Right.
When you become a millionaire, you're not looking at how do I make $50 anymore, right? You're not looking for the quick butt. You're like, how do I make $10,000 from a returning client every month, and how do I get more of those clients? And that's why they say
Oh, man.
more money you have, the easier it's to, after your first million, it gets easier. And I believe that. I 100% believe that. Like, I'm chasing my first million.
Right.
Like, that is my goal. Is like, before I'm 25, I want to have a million. I got to clear a little bit of student debt, but
Yeah.
like, that's what I'm chasing.
100%, man. And crawling there is a journey. And I will use Man Meets Modern as an example, right? We're on the cast right now anyway, so might as well fucking use it as an
Right,
example.
right,
It's not easy. That'll be the first thing I say. It's not easy.
right,
It's in concept, it is easy, right? Because I don't want anyone to think like, oh yeah, I just gotta do these three things, fucking flick my fingers, and God, it's not easy, right? Because like
right.
I've been 4 months, and me and you talked a little bit about gaining traction. You have to have a voice and something behind. People have to believe that they should believe you, right? People have to really entrust you that you're uh, providing them something genuine and a service that they enjoy.
Mhm.
And I do enjoy. I also, if you're going to try to find a way to create passive income, fucking make sure you enjoy it, right?
Right,
Especially if it's going
absolutely.
to be something like a business or something. Don't do something because
Right,
you heard it's just going to make you a ton of money, right? If you don't
right.
enjoy flipping sneakers, don't fucking flip sneakers, because
Yeah,
the amount of time you're going to have to
right,
dedicate towards that, you're going to fucking hate yourself.
right, absolutely.
Huge. And then, what I will say is like, yeah, creating that image, right? I do these podcasts, because I love doing them, but also I believe it helps me and let people understand me, right? And be
Right.
like, and listen, be like, okay, I get where this guy is coming from. I can put the face behind everything, and I can really get behind what's going on there, right? And like that's what you have to do. You have to structure yourself in a way to get to your final destination, right? And for a lot of people, another great thing to do, what a friend told to me is think about where you want to be.
Hmm.
Now work backwards from that point of what you got to do to get there,
Hmm.
and then get there. Because if you can work backwards, it's like, okay, I want to make $1 million.
Right,
What I need to get there? I probably need multiple streams of income.
right.
Okay. Multiple streams of income. What can I do for multiple streams of income? Okay, I
Start
can
there.
trade
Yeah.
stocks, have a website, yada, yada,
Hmm.
yada. Okay, what does it take? And then like build back. And then that's where you can start today, right? It's way easier to do that than be like, when you just starting shit, right?
Hmm.
You have no direction. When you have
Yeah.
no direction, you fucking, what are you going to do, right?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, like you said, it's like my best friend is a comedian. Went to UMD. He was a finance guy. He's a pretty big internet comedian now. Like, he's just crossed like 700K almost TikTok followers, and he, does all this shit, and like he's funny, but like no one realizes before he was doing internet comedy, like he hustled for stand up. Like, he's also a stand up comedian, and
Yeah.
like he would go to open mics. He would bomb his sets. Like, this man would be out every night in Baltimore. Now in Baltimore and DC, like every time I go out with them, someone's like, "Oh my god, dude! Like, I love your shit." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's because he hustled for 3 years in the dark. It's what you do in the dark, right? Like, no one understands that. Everyone thinks like, I've been struggling for like a month, 2 months. It's like, dude, that's nothing.
Yeah.
People sit around. Like, a lot of people don't talk about going to like, people say they don't want to go to med school. Like, I don't want to go, cost a lot of money, and they don't want to spend like
Yeah.
6 years after undergrad. They don't want to do residency, rotations, all this and that. It's like, dude, imagine if you applied all that time at least into doing something else, a business, investing in
Right.
yourself, something that it just feels that since med school, you pay a large sum of money and then they make you
Yeah.
focus on one thing. And for like 6 years, you become very good at it, or you become qualified enough to treat others. Imagine if you were doing something else for 6 years, like, you could, that's like the thing. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of like the 10,000 hour rule, right? Like, can you work to do something 10,000 up to 10,000 hours? Like,
Right.
the average year, like, if you work 9 to 5, 8 to 5 for a year, you're roughly working about 2,000 hours a year,
Right.
right? Like, that's what your salary is based off of. If you can do that for 5 years, you're usually perceived as excellent in what you do.
Right.
That's why basketball players chase the 10,000 hour rule before they're 18, or they try to get it by the time they're 18, by the time they're ready to draft, by the time that, like that is, it's hardcore. And that's what it is. It takes time. People are like, wake up and they're like, dude, I've been doing this for a month. Why doesn't it work? Like, it
Well,
doesn't happen.
and I think one of the big misnomers to that, and like why people think that, is especially with me, because I struggle a lot like this with it. And I would say my second month, going into my second month of having Man Meets Modern, is you see, like, you believe so much in your idea, and then you see other people who, for lack of better words, got fucking lucky, man. Like
Dude,
those kids on
absolutely.
TikTok that got 4 million
Absolutely.
followers off of 2 videos, like,
I
they got
know.
lucky. And like you see that and you're like, well, my idea is like actually good, and it's got
Right.
fucking structure, and
I
it's
know.
got,
It sucks.
all
It
this
sucks.
behind it. And like, why am I not there? And like, that's a tough thing to wrap your head around.
It is. It is. It's that whole thing about why do we make stupid people famous? It's like, literally, why do we throw money at people that don't deserve our money? Like you said, just got kids that are making absurd amount of TikTok plays off views. It's like, okay, I guess like you're doing a dance, and like if that deserves 4 million likes, like cool. But this guy is doing a podcast to like
Right.
help men and other people, whoever feels like it, learn more about themselves and gain some a little advice here and there. Like that's pure content, right?
Right.
But that's also like, that's just life, right? No one, we always put value on entertainment more than we put value on actual critical work, critical content,
100%.
right?
And like, end of the day though, you're not a modern man if you're not constantly trying to chase improving yourself, right? And like that, knowing that you need to take the time out to improve yourself is work. Like, it's not I would like to think I'm an entertaining person. I'd like to think what I offer is entertaining, but like at the same time, a lot of things, you look at our articles, a lot of it's work. Like a lot of it's like, this is what you need to do. I have an article about how to quit nicotine. I had a Juul, had it for a year and a half, 2 packs of 4 pods a day, not a day, a week. A day would be intense. I'd
That'd
probably
be, I was like, wow, you quit that? Like,
I did it, right? But then I quit. I quit and it was fucking work, but it made me better for quitting, right? And that's what I put into that article. It's not bullshit. It's not some fluffed article. It's
right,
fucking work. This is what you need to do, but it'll make you a better person for it.
right.
Like, people need to get behind that. And like, yeah, the thing with the TikTok dances, man, what blows my fucking mind is like, and why, here's another proof for anybody out there that it's pure luck, is one person can make millions of dollars off that dance. But just so you know, about a million other people have done that dance on TikTok and didn't make $1 million.
Yep. I
And
mean,
they don't even have to be the original person.
they don't. That's the crazy part, is that you can dance to someone else's song, not be the original, and then make it. I mean, it's absolutely absurd, but it works too, right? And honestly, people will look at us one day and be like, hey, the same thing. They'll be like, wow, like these guys made it from doing, what do they do? He has a podcast. Like this
Yeah.
guy like really made a podcast, and now he's the next Joe Rogan. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't see us recording, 1 hour sets. And like when during COVID in 2020, when now we're
Right.
talking in 2025, 2026, when this guy grinded it out for 6 years, putting out content every week, like
Right.
that is what the hustle is. Like that is what people don't like to look at. That people just like to see, they like to see the result. They just want to see the cake. They don't want to know how you bake the cake. They don't want to know what ingredients went in it. They just want to see how pretty it is. They just want to
Right.
see it.
100%. And what they don't understand is like, you can't, unless you're a trust fund child, you can't pay people to do it off the bat for you, man. Like,
Yeah, it's
not
an
everyone has the
absolutely.
money to pay the chefs to make the cake, right?
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
just want the finished cake. Doesn't work like that, right? This isn't a fucking little cake thing that you put in the microwave and it's done. That's not how it works. Like, they don't, like you said, they don't see the podcast if they haven't watched it. They don't see the fact that I have zero video editing experience and I edit my podcast.
But
They
that's
don't,
amazing. Like that is literally
right?
amazing. I respect that so much, because like you're not going to learn any other way. You're literally, there's going to be no, like people, oh, YouTube, like no matter what, even if you watch YouTube, I watch YouTube to learn stuff. In the end of the day, you actually have to do it,
Right.
right? Like you have to, you're recording it on Zoom, you're going to record it and then put it into whatever. And, I don't know, you probably don't use Adobe Premiere yet, but if you do, like when you do, you'll get to that point and you're like, all right, I'm going to start paying for a proper editing software. Like you've now felt like you're sufficient enough. You graduated from the free stuff. You're like, I want to put more effort into it because you've trained yourself, like that's how it is. Like you've put in all this time. And I bet every time you edit a new podcast, you learn a little bit more. Your skill gets a little bit refined. You're getting better as you do. And that's what's good about it, is because you're putting your time into something to give back to people. And while you're putting your time into that, it's actually growing you. Like
Absolutely, man. Like
that's the best. That's the best thing.
fucking, if you're listening, listen up, because it's the same concept for
Right.
everything in life almost. Unless you fucking are lucky and win the Mega Millions, like it is the same concept. You want to have a six pack, you gotta go through the bullshit to get the six pack,
Right.
man. Like it's all going. Honestly, that's what it is, right? It's going through the bullshit to get to where you want to be, right? Elon Musk has a famous quote: I'm willing to suffer for 5 years if it meant I get to live the rest of my life however I want. And look at how he's living, man. He suffered. He fucking lived off $1 a day for a month to see if he could do it, right? You got to be willing to do that suffering to live like that, or you're going to, hands down, without a doubt, live a mediocre or very complacent life.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, that's great. That's what they want, right? But I know for me and anyone listening, if you don't want that, you got to fucking go through the bullshit. I don't know how to code. I partly coded that website. Like I didn't know. YouTube videos. I spent probably 30 hours over the course of 5 days trying,
Just learning.
outside of anything else that I'm doing, coding, getting that website up and trying and make sure it was running efficiently enough so that if someone went to it, they weren't like, oh, this is just, some bullshit ass website. You know what? My toddler looks like he could fucking draw a website better than this.
Right. I mean, you have to do that, right? Like you don't, and that's good because it's branding. You want to present people with something that's quality. Like I appreciate and understand that. And I think that'll pay off. Like that was what my friend was all about before he would post his TikToks and his Twitter posts and this thing. He would like ask me about his tweets. I'm like, dude, you have 16K followers on Twitter, which could be a lot, could not be a lot. It's 16K, but these people follow you only because of your comedy. I don't think they care too much about what you tweet. Like what you tweet on average is pretty funny. And it's like he's running every draft by me. And he's like, should I tweet it now or should I wait 30 minutes? I'm like, dude, it's not Instagram. There's no algo that's going to mess with it. It's just Twitter. Just tweet it. But because he thinks like that, but because he's so particular and he's a perfectionist, that's why his work has gotten him to where he is. That's why he was able to quit his finance job and do comedy full time, write scripts and do stuff like that, because he always treated his work from day one, like you are treating your podcast, as if you want to make it perfect, as if you go out and seek people to talk to. You're like, hey, this person has cool stuff to talk to. They look like they have enough content. I'm going to edit my own videos. I'm going to do everything. You're making it the way you want to make it. I mean, that's how you do it. Like that, in the end, you are your own producer. Like that is what it is.
Yeah, man. And congrats to him. And that's great. Get him in touch with me. We're going to start doing, fucking social media takeovers. If you want to see the best way to see what a modern man's like is through one who is a modern man, right? If you consider yourself. So definitely look forward to that. But yeah, he's right. And I saw one thing that is very undermined too. And I saw a picture, and it was a picture of one dude sitting in the stand with no one behind him, sitting in a stadium, one dude, right, while a team was practicing. And then it showed all the fans cheering when the team won, like the World Cup or whatever. It was for soccer. And people don't understand how big of an importance that fan sitting alone is. People don't understand how big of importance it is for someone to pay dividends, or for someone to invest first and wait for dividends later, right? One thing that makes Man Meets Modern really difficult and very challenging at first and still challenging is that as many of your friends as you think are going to help you out, and maybe you have a great friend group, they're not. Yeah. And like, it's nothing to their fault.
Exactly. I learned that too. Yeah.
Everyone has their own thing going on. But one thing I've learned is people aren't willing to just set aside free time. And I've had a few people do it, and it's helped me tremendously. My new business partner that I took on, shout out to Tony. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to that podcast, but I took him on because he genuinely believes in Man Meets Modern, and he was able to put aside the fact that he was spending his time, value free, right, to me to help me out. And I appreciate that. And, I'm hoping eventually it'll pay dividends to him. But like, that's what it is. You never know when it's going to pay out, right?
It's massive, dude. I'm on my third attempt at a company, and like this is the closest I've ever been to actually having like a successful company, and I'm grinding hard at it, right? And but like one of the guys was that I have for this project, he was on with me for my first attempt as a company. We won a grant from the school, but it didn't turn into anything after that. He was on for the company that started after that, which after 2 years, it was just kind of, it died out. And he joined in on this one. Like this guy, like he was with me through all of it. Like he's seen all three of the projects. He knows, and like I'm indebted for that. Like, what do I say? Thank you. Like, it's like, dude, this guy, and especially because I'm not a developer and he is, like, he brings such a great skill set. He helps me program all our projects. He helps takes me lead. And I realize is that sometimes your friends can't put aside their time unless they feel like they're getting something out of it. And I understand that now. So giving an opportunity for someone to work on something and tell them, hey, you might learn this when you're working on this. Like while you help me out, you're actually helping yourself out. Like that's the thing is that is what I learned. If you want to get your friends to be involved in your projects and in your success and help support you, you have to offer something in return that's
Right.
not monetary, maybe not quantitative. You can't be like, hey, I guarantee you'll be shredded in 15 days if you help me with my
Right.
workout plan. It's you might learn more about nutrition and you might walk away better. You might learn about camera skills that you never thought you had and you just might grow on something else. Like
Right.
that's what it's about. It's about bringing people in to support you and saying, hey, I hope you can gain something out of this that maybe isn't tangible, but you might walk away with some new experience.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. What's your are you in dark mode? You're not allowed to talk about the business or what?
Yeah, I can talk about it. It's our website's up. It's a very simple right now. It's a very simple. Are you familiar with Slack?
I am familiar with Slack.
Okay, so like let's say you're in a channel on Slack, and usually this happens also on Discord way more because Discord is way more anonymous and the
I'm in
channels are way
Discord
big.
too.
Okay, yeah, so Discord you can have channels for gaming and everything else that people are like anonymous and there's like 10,000 people in a channel. You don't know everyone in there, right? So if someone was like, "Hey, check this out," and they post something, you don't really think about it, but you click it.
Yeah.
What if what you just clicked was a virus, a Trojan horse, was
Right.
spam, was a phishing attempt? Our software sits inside those channels and just scans every link that's passed, and we let the users in the channel know, are you secure or not? Like, is this URL secure or not? Is that safe to click? Or do we mark it as like, hey, is this potentially dangerous? Like, be
Yeah.
careful. Is potentially spam, stuff like that. So that's what our software does. It helps provide people with safety and security through these channels because as remote working grows, more people are on all these communication platforms.
Yeah.
And ideally, we're trying to build it out for Twitch actually, so that when streamers stream and they have a lot of people in the chat box and people are posting links and they're like, oh my God, click this. Oh my God, look at this. Is this right? The streamer is not being distracted. And our bot will tell the streamer, hey, don't click on that. Like that is a DDoS. Like you are that's gonna fuck your computer up. Like don't click that shit. Like that is the idea of our bot. So that's a very simple part of our software. And I think that's what we do is just help provide safety and integrity through a communications platform. Now, yeah, I mean, been building it, been working on it since June. Working on getting a deck together and hopefully in like quarter 1 of 2021, I'm gonna like try to raise a seed investment for it because like I know where I need to grow. I have a product roadmap, but like I never would have thought like this unless I had 2 attempts at a company before this. Like
Right.
my friends don't really like a lot of my friends are like, dude, like you've been working on all these projects all the time and stuff, and it's like they love me. They're just like, oh, like whatever happened to it, and it cringes. It sucks. It cringe to say, oh, nothing came of it. But like you just have to keep going, like because you want to prove
Failure.
people. I mean, that's what life is. You want to prove to someone, right? And also, it's to prove to yourself that you can accomplish what you keep thinking about, right? So for me, that's me. Like you're really working on this hard on this podcast, and you want to prove to people. A lot of people are like, oh, dude, you're doing a podcast. Like, what the heck? I'm sure. Like, so many people probably say stuff like that all the time.
Some of my closest friends have been like, yo, like, they didn't even want me to do it. They didn't want me to start it. And like
Yeah,
it
exactly.
hurts a little bit, man. Sometimes it hurts. You're like, damn, like you
Yeah.
really don't think I got this.
Like, why does this bother you? Like,
Yeah.
why? I'm not asking you to be on it. I'm not asking you to watch it.
Right.
But like, what part? It's because a lot of our friends are, and it's fine. Again, it's fine. It's just
Yeah.
how you're
People are
raised.
people, man.
Also, yeah, it's simple, black and white, binary people. Like they're just down with it. Like, is it they don't need their life to be that extravagant, and that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that, because it's like at some point I also am like that. Like I love playing video games. Like I play COD in and out. I love COD, and I used to play RuneScape like 50 hours a week. Like I loved RuneScape. But like, am I doing that still? Like no. And there's nothing wrong with gaming, but it's like you kind of adapt and change. And when you see your friends kind of repetitively doing the same thing year after year, it's like, if I try to tell you to do something different, you're going to take it as an insult. But
Right.
now you see me do something different, you're also feeling threatened, because you're wondering like, why is he trying to be different? Why is he trying so hard? It's like, I'm not trying hard at like to be someone different. I'm just trying hard to be better. I'm trying hard
Right.
to do something else that can personally, financially, emotionally, mentally grow me as a person. And like that's the thing, is people are threatened when their friends do that. They're threatened when their family suggest, hey, why don't you try something different? I mean, that just comes down to people who are fear of change, right? You're scared of change. You're scared of something different. And that's totally understandable. People live in comfort their whole life. People go through college. Dude, I talked to some people that went to my school for 4 years, and we go to a small school. And if I find someone, I'm like, oh wait, you went to UBC? Like, oh, why we? I'm like, we went during the same 4 years. It's a pretty small school. We even studied the same thing, but I have no idea who you are. It's like, what were you doing during those 4 years? How did I not ever meet you once?
Yeah.
Like sometimes I think like that. I'm like, you seem like a pretty extroverted person. It's not like you were in the back of the class all the time. What did you do in your 4 years? Why you didn't join any clubs? You didn't try any new things? You didn't go out? You didn't, you know what I mean? Like it's like, what did you do with your time? That's my biggest thing, is like, am I doing enough with my time? Like I love to sleep. Like I absolutely love naps, hit hard, bro. Naps hit hard. But am I doing enough of my time? Sometimes I just like open up Instagram or open up something. I see like, you're grinding out these episodes on a podcast. I was telling myself to do a podcast a year ago and I didn't pull the trigger on it. And now you're doing it. And I'm like, dude, this kid's gonna like that's what it's about. It's about seeing someone that's doing something that you wish you could have. But then you're like, damn, what if I had done that? Right? Where would I be doing a podcast if I had started a year ago? It's like, I don't know.
Well,
But now,
yeah, and I think I want to touch on two things. So one is knowing when you're not working is huge. And
mhm,
like, but like deeper into that, knowing when the right times to not work are, right? I noticed myself recently, I watch a fuck ton of TV, man. That's my decompressant, right? That's
okay,
my
yeah,
like I'm done with my workday. I'm done with my website. I watch a ton of TV, but sometimes if I'm in a good show, I'll maybe like not look at the website that day because website's up no matter what, right? And I'll just watch TV the moment I'm done with work. And like, knowing that timing is huge. You know what I mean? Like knowing that, okay, I recognize that and am trying to make the adjustment and be more structured. I have a whiteboard next to me. I wiped it clean today. It was like, okay, I've been doing way too much fucking slacking. Let me wipe it and let me get a plan going. You got,
yeah,
how to break yourself down. And it doesn't work for everybody, but how to break yourself down and develop that game plan. And then, like you said, what if I would have did it? I think one thing that drives me and I think it makes me a little crazy is the fact that I have such a mentality of well, I can do that. Well, I can like and like
yeah,
I'm not
same,
trying, this
yeah,
isn't
yeah.
like I don't want to sound like when people go into a job interview and it's like, oh, my bad traits, I'm a perfectionist. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right.
I'm not trying to sound like that. I'm trying to sound like I literally believe when I see anyone do anything, it's like, oh, I can fucking do that. And I think I can do it better than them.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
that it's almost egotistical. I'm a little egotistical. I'll be
mhm,
100% honest, but
mhm,
I think it drives like having that mindset, having that drive of like, why can't it eliminates one thing it benefits me with is eliminates that, well, why didn't I do that? Or well, why should I do that? I
mhm,
just go for it. Sometimes I'll see someone do something good and I'll be like, I just strictly want to be better than you at that. Like
mhm.
it has nothing more. There's no deep. I really don't even know if I care about the subject. I really just want to prove that I can do it better.
I totally relate to that. I mean, yeah, I mean, it come derives from whatever it derives from, uh, but that's also why we do things. Like that
Right.
is why we like you're doing a podcast. I'm trying my third company. Like I'm trying. I'm into cryptocurrency. I'm into all these other random things. That's like because I want to prove that for me, it's like you can be a multifaceted person. I'm into fashion, culture, and music a lot. And people that are usually into that stuff aren't also into cryptocurrency. And then people that are into that aren't also really into like whatever it is. Like they're, you kind of, nerd mentality, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You don't really like people aren't go outside as much, blah, 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 which is a myth, right?
Right.
I mean, I love the outdoors. I backpack. I've been to 9 countries. Thank God. I've like fortunate enough to travel with my friends and
Right.
like do things, right? It's like to me, it's just proving that you can be well-rounded. For me, like that's just always something I've been chasing. I'm very much into being a renaissance man. Like I'm not good at anything. I just do a bunch of things. That's what I tell people. I'm not good at
Yeah.
anything, but I just do a bunch of stuff and I try to get better at it as we go. But
Also, finding what you're interested in and trying to do it is huge too. What I
mhm,
don't understand is like, so like I grew up, I was an athlete. I only focused on athletics, and like that was my thing. Like very like had a scholarship for it. Tore my
mhm,
shoulder twice, so didn't go through with it. Obviously, but like that was the mindset. Like that's what I focused on. And later in my life, when honestly later in college, is when I started like looking at things that I enjoyed and just going, why don't I just try it? I
right,
almost everyone in the world, I would say, yeah, probably 99% of the people in the world love music. How many people have actually tried to make
right,
music or learn an instrument, right?
yeah,
I love Elton John, right? I love,
all
you
right,
know, Benny and the Jets, a great song. I love a lot of Elton John. He plays the piano amazingly. I bought a piano board and was like, why can't I do that?
right.
And
Just like
try it, man. Like, you just got to try it. Okay. One thing I learned, I still mess around with it. One thing I learned, I I don't love it enough to put in the work that Elton John put in to be as
yeah,
good.
and you learn that, right? Like that's
Yeah,
what you learn.
but only way you learn that is by doing it, right? I learned I love painting. I love painting just to like in my free time, just to like do something, right? But
Mhm.
like I'm not trying to go to art school and master my
You
paint
just
skills.
do it, but
No,
you wouldn't have known unless you tried it. Like you
right,
just,
right.
yeah.
But
I
people
mean,
are so scared. Like there's such an innate
yeah,
fear.
because I
People
mean,
are
people don't want to admit, like, people don't want, like, a lot of guys, like, it's a stigma. They don't want to be like, oh, yeah, I paint in my free time. It's like,
right.
well, you do what? Like,
Yeah,
you paint. So, like, you have an Instagram page, you sell art, maybe you're a tattoo artist. Like, no, bro, I just paint. Like, I just paint shit paintings in my free time, like, just for fun. It's
right.
like, no one wants to say that, like, because it's like, oh, dude, that's kind of weird. It's like,
To
there's
other
really,
men, like that's such a weird concept because it's weird to other men. But I want any man listening to realize if you paint or are good at fashion, like real fashionable, or can sing or write, like almost like a early 2000s movie, how the dude with the guitar got all the chicks, like that shit is real. Like
yeah,
you
that
can
shit is
write, you know
real.
what I mean? I was a fashion merchandising major and I got shit on by other people in college. But like, you know who I had more of? I had more friends that were girls and knew way more girls than they ever did, right?
Right.
And they get mad. It almost angers people, right? And
You
so
get, yeah.
like even like put aside like being successful and all that at it, dude, quit ripping on the arts, go
Mhm.
try one, get kind of good at it, and like even if you hate painting, maybe you'll get laid a little more, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, like honestly, you just gain new experiences from doing those stuff. Like you'll meet new people. Like that's just what it is. Like that's what it's all about, right? Like
Right,
meeting those people, meeting people you're gonna vibe with, meeting chicks, meeting guys, whatever. And whatever it is, you won't get that by doing your rinse and repeat every day.
right. No,
You won't. Like you just won't. Like, and because people expect it to happen to them because they know, like sometimes people fall in your lap, your homies fall in your lap. You met your friends because they came up to you and said something first, or you met your friends because like it was way easier in a setting because you were at school and you
right,
went to a bar and you're like, hey, you're in my math class, or hey, like we have class together, like we can study sometime or whatnot, like we can trade homeworks, right? Like that was easy.
right,
Now it's like, okay, what are you doing outside of school now to like keep you going and being interactive and not turn into like a nuthead? Like, what are you gonna do that's gonna keep you in the game, like in the game of life? Like, dude, you don't remember like 90% of the people you went to school with. You don't remember 90% of the people you've met in your life. You just keep 10%, and that 10% cycles in and out. Every once in a while, you lose contact with someone, and then you make a new friend, and they become really, really important to you, and you keep them in your life, right? And then this slowly cycles up, but you only really keep track of 5 to 10% of people you've ever met. You're not keeping track of that one kid that you randomly had class with, junior year, right? And like, it's like, what are your 10% of people? Like, I have three quotes I love, but one of them is, you are on average of the five people you spend the most time with. And I think that's amazing. It's like, who are the five people you surround yourself with? Like, you are a combination of those five people. And I mean, that's hella real, because it's true. Like, if all your friends do whatever it is, like, it's not to insult anyone, but if all your friends just smoke and chill and don't do much else, like, why do I expect that you're going to do something else too? Like, you are going to just fall into a cycle of smoking and chilling, rinse and repeat. You go to class, you get your class over with, or, you go to work, you come home, you smoke with the homies, play some Xbox, and that's that. Like, that's a normal life for a lot of people, and absolutely nothing's wrong with that. But just realize that, ask yourself, is your life like this because of the people you surround yourself with?
100%. And realizing that's huge, right? I think, a lot of my friends, I would say, are very much like go to work, go home, or go to school, go to class, go home, smoke weed, play video games. A lot of them, honestly, people that I lived with were like that. But being able to recognize her like that, knowing who they are, doesn't mean you can't hang out with them either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I
absolutely.
love having them around because that was my decompression, right? Like if you can have the mindset where I was like, okay, during these portions of my day, I'm fucking structured in my goals, right? I need to class, homework, gym, or whatever. But like if I had some free time, it's like, oh yeah, like you always are down here playing video games, smoking weed, like maybe I'll play video games with you or something, or like you always like are like going and hanging out with some friends or are gonna go grab a drink. Maybe I'll go and grab a drink with you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So like,
absolutely. It's good important to have that, and that means it doesn't mean to have friends that are always about business and grind. Like, I'm totally for, like, let's throw down, like, let's party like no tomorrow. Like, I absolutely love to party, but it's like, if you people like us that want to achieve something that you can't achieve in a finite amount of time, like, you can't, you go to college, and at the end of your 4 years, you're going to end up with a bachelor's. Like, 96, 97% of the people that go to college end up with a bachelor's at the end of it. For us, I have no idea how long you got to do your podcast until you feel like you're successful. And you have no idea how long I got to work on my startup till I feel like I'm successful, or until the startup has positive net income, like, until I'm not negative, until I'm out of
right,
debt in my company, right? We don't know that. We can only try to, make metrics for it and plan it. And, like, that's the thing, is people don't like stuff, or people don't like to do things where they don't know how much time it will take.
right. And
They're
it's important not to let those people get in your head because there's a lot of people that will try to quantify what you're doing, right? And the only way
right,
they know how to quantify it is monetarily. So like,
right,
you know,
absolutely.
say someone like me comes up and it's like, well, how much is your software making? And you're like, zero. I'm actually out 20 grand right now or something.
Yeah. You're
And
gonna be like, so
someone can be like,
your
oh,
software
failing.
sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah, and totally. And that, but like, and that's easy to say too, and it's actually probably accurate. Like, for my world of people, it's like, dude, if you told someone that your software doesn't make any money and you spent like 100, 200, 300K on it, which happens all the time,
Right.
it's like, buddy, I don't think you're doing the right thing. It's like, well, no fucking shit. But, like, that's the thing. And like, you're not doing a podcast every day and you're thinking, all right, this is going to make me millions. You're doing a podcast. So you, like, the day you hit 10K views on one of your episodes, you're going to be like, wow, like, fuck yes, 10K views. You're not going to be like, okay, that brought in $57. Woo. Like, that's not what you're worried about. You're like, can I get the views? Can I get the people in it? Can I see in the comments that someone said, whoa, dude, like, this episode was great. Thanks for inspiring me to go try something new. Like, that shit hits way harder than me making $60.
Oh,
And then the money will flow in. Like, the money flows in. Like, that's how it works.
I did a podcast and it's I one of my third episode with Matt Petrick. I don't know if you've checked it out. If you haven't, it's a great one. Um, and it doesn't have like a fuck ton of views or anything.
Mhm.
But one of my favorite parts about that podcast is the fact that I had somebody come to me. I had a friend of mine come and goes, I enjoyed it. He goes, I enjoyed it. It was awesome for me to hear my friends talk about
Right.
something. And also
Right.
it's awesome to hear what you guys had to say. And he goes, how do I get more? I want more people to experience what I just experienced. And like, that's a huge thing, right, man? That tells me that what I'm doing is heading in the right direction.
Sorry, I cut out for a second. You
Oh,
good?
it's okay. That tells me what I'm doing is heading in the right direction. And like that, oh my God. We good?
We good? We good. And then,
It's my internet. Oh my gosh.
all right. Is it my Wi-Fi?
I'm on Wi-Fi, and then in my place it's fiber optic. So like
Okay.
the problem is though they put it in my closet in my bedroom in a metal box. They like couldn't have been more dumb about it.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, it's like bad. I have fiber optic internet. If I plug in, my download speed's like 600 megabytes a second,
Oh my
and
God.
then but if I'm not plugged in, it's like two.
Oh. Yeah, because you're trying to connect through a metal box.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely absurd.
But yeah, exactly. Like your friend is like, dude, that's a good episode. Hey, I learned a lot. And that like that means a lot. Like that people don't realize that kind of stuff. Like it's too good to be true, but imagine if all your friends and family were supportive of what you did. You would do so much. And but like, I was having this talk with my comedian friend. Like, the thing is, like, you kind of need like a classic. Well, rappers talk about all the time. You need haters, you need doubters, because also if everyone is so supportive, it's also like puts in this mentality like, all right, well, no matter what happens, we're happy with you. It's like you have to kind of have that spite and hate that. Damn, I can't fail. I don't want to fail because it's easier to fail when you know there's a cushion behind you, right?
Oh yeah,
And
it's
you
okay.
don't, yeah, you don't need that. You need to have doubt. You need to have suppressed feeling friends sometimes to like not always be like, dude, great job today. You need to have friends like, hey, that was good, maybe you could change this up, or like, why did you do that, why did you do this? And it's like you have to have people that question your beliefs and virtues
The
and
funny part is though, people are selfish in today's world, and I would argue there's almost too many people that are like, "Yo, you could have did this better. You fucked up on this."
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I mean, think about it. I mean, even think of like the pay it forward thing, where it's like one person does thing and you just do another thing for another person. That person does something for like two more people. Like, think about if I could have, say, I had 10 friends that took like, I don't know, a month of their time, right, and
Mhm.
just truly fucking just did me a favor and preached Man Meets Modern to all the people that they know.
Right.
How fast it could
Yeah,
go,
exactly. your
right?
your network would absolutely explode. Yeah, your views, your clicks, but it's not that easy. It'd be too good to
It's
be
not.
true.
If it
It'd be
was that
too,
easy, everyone would do it. That's the
and that,
concept.
and that, and that, yeah,
Everyone can
exactly.
build a website. It's not like no one can do it. It didn't cost me too much money or anything. It cost me
Yeah,
like $250 to get started. For anyone that wants to build a website, it's 250 bucks. Just so you know, I'm on page probably like 50 of Google. So not
but
everyone
yeah,
can do it, right? Like unless you look for me specifically, you probably won't find me on Google. And like that's where it comes down to, right? Like, okay, I'm in the race, I'm in the competition, but I'm sitting, if it, what NASCAR is like 30 racers, I'm sitting 28th.
but that's the thing is like people don't even get to be at 28. It's so hard it's so much harder to be at 28 than not be in the game at all. And like that's the thing. It's like if you aren't in the race, it's so easy to not be in the race. But let me see you step into the race and let me see you continue in the race. Like you won't. Most people won't. And like that's where it gets hard. It's like I rather be 28, 29, 27, 26, whatever it is, and at least be like, I was a part of the race. I was a part of the grind. I was a part of the hustle. My project maybe didn't work out, but I experienced it. I had a great time. I learned this. Then be like, oh no, I just watched it from the sideline. It's like,
100%. I talked over Thanksgiving, excuse me. I talked to my uncle, and one of the things I told him was I believe the hardest part is not believing that you can do it. And the part that comes first isn't believing that you can do it, but doing it.
right,
Doing it is harder. And it honestly, in my opinion, should come first before believing. Because, like, that first leap, doing it is like taking a leap off a cliff dive, right?
mhm.
Off of like diving in the ocean. Like, you got to do it. You got to fucking take that leap. And then just now that you've done it and you're in the game, you're in the race, you got to believe you can win it. And
Yeah,
so I think people get those mixed up. It's like, oh, you got to believe in yourself and then just go do it. No, I think it's fucking backwards. I think you got to do it and then believe you
jump,
can fucking win it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
believe you can finish it, right?
Yeah.
That's what it jump in the deep end. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, I don't know, I forgot the guy's name, but 4 minute mile. Have you heard like the thing about the 4 minute mile? So it's like
No.
it's like no one was running the 4 minute mile for the longest time, like a sub 4 minute mile. And then finally one guy did it, and then everyone did it after that. It wasn't because physically the body couldn't achieve it. It was mentally, everyone kind of just started to believe that it's impossible. And the moment you start to believe something's impossible, you convince yourself that you don't need to work hard enough anymore. Right? Like that was the thing. And so once this one dude ran the 4 minute mile, everyone else started breaking the record to run the 4 minute mile, because like, holy shit, he did it. That means it's actually physically possible, which means that if we try hard enough, we can do it as well. So
Yeah.
then now
People
the mental barrier is broken, and you're like, okay, well, now I know.
people forget that, right? People always look at things like the impossible. I mean, dude, look at Barstool. Look at Barstool Sports. If you went roll back 20 years in time when El Presidente started it, I bet you there was so many people that were like, this dude's fucking ridiculous. There's no way this works out. This is just gonna be some small bullshit. When he first started it,
He's
right?
been doing it for 20 years.
I think so. I think so.
That's crazy. What's his name? Dave
Dave
Porte
Portnoy. Yeah.
Paranoid. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but now he's proven it can be done, man. 20 years down the line, dude sold half of it for like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. Who would have been doing that for 20 years though? I know
Right.
I would have quit. There's no way
No,
I would be.
right. But people aren't
Yeah.
willing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's the game mentality, is that he sat probably in 28th, 29th place for the longest time. And then within 1 year, he became second, third place. He
Right.
blew up 2014, 2015. And now he's, Barstool is known everywhere. Barstool's a buzzword, right? And that's the thing, is like it took 20 years to get to that 1 year. And now the 1 year after that, everyone knows. I mean, it's the same thing with there's a story about Picasso who he's at a coffee shop, and he's doodling on a napkin, and the waitress is like, you don't have to pay me for the coffee, I just want your doodle, like I want your doodle. And he says, no worries, sure, that's great, free coffee, and I'll give you a little drawing I made. And she goes, okay. And she goes away, and she comes back, she's like, okay, like, are you done, would you like more coffee? He's like, yeah, you can take the napkin. He's like, that's going to be $16,000. And she's like, you just said I could take it for the coffee. She's like, it only took you 10 minutes to doodle, 15 minutes. He's like, no, it took me thousands of hours, because up until he became Picasso, all he was doing was painting and drawing, right? His skill and value, he wasn't valued.
Nothing until like he
Yeah,
came.
it didn't mean his art never meant anything till he became Picasso after doing that. So, I mean, that's that. I love that, because it's like,
That's great. I've fucking never heard it, but you made me just like want to sit here until 2 o'clock in the morning and just grinding shit out.
yeah, I mean, that's what it is. You just got to do it, right? Yeah,
100%.
yeah, man. Cool. Can I talk about anything else interesting?
Yeah, dude. Let me let advertise yourself, man.
Yeah,
What
advertise
you-
myself. So I'm from Maryland. I work in tech and finance mostly, and that's kind of what I do. I love the outdoors and stuff like that. But this is not Tinder, so I'm not going to try to make you want to date me. I just want to advertise myself, which is,
Yeah.
um, I got a startup company, and in my free time, I was job hunting. Kind of not job hunting anymore. I've had some interviews, because I'm like, if I want to go balls deep on my company, I kind of don't want to have a job that I have to quit in 5 months, because when it comes down to it, investors are going to be like, hey, you gave a great pitch, and we're really happy with it, and we want to fund your company, but you have a full-time job, so we're not sure if we're confident that you can full-time job and do a startup. So I don't want to have to quit a company in 5 months. My goal is to be in the next 5 months, raise enough money, really crush my project. That's pretty much what I do. I'm out
where
in
can
Maryland,
people
DC.
you're gonna see this guy in the valley. Where can people
Yeah.
find you, man? Where you
Yeah. So I'm between Baltimore and DC, like the DMV area.
yeah.
And fun fact, yeah, man, I was in the Valley. 2019, I lived in San Francisco for an internship. 2018, I lived in Las Vegas. Yeah, I've gone to live across the U.S. for some different companies. I've had a lot of dope experience. That's just kind of how it is. Like that's why I was really happy to talk to you about this stuff, because this is trying to be my way of paying it forward. Is that I've been fortunate enough that people had faith in me and they wanted to give me dope opportunities and throw me in the deep end and be like, hey, go work at this company, try stuff out, go live in San Francisco and move between 3 houses with your stuff, because you're just paying. I was living between like 3 houses and I would work at my internship for 3 months, and like that's just how I did it. And I met some dope people through that, and like this is my way to pay it forward. So that I got to learn.
You
Yeah.
fucking killed it, and I appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
what's the socials where people want to
Yeah, Instagram is bit dot period, RAJ, bit.raj. Raj is like pretty much my go-to name. My website is just Raj Singh, JASRAJSINGH.com. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Twitter is bitraj _. I kind of keep that bitraj because Bitcoin. I've been doing Bitcoin stuff.
Link and stuff. I'll link and stuff into the description.
Yeah.
And then, what's the craziest thing you've ever done?
Craziest thing I've ever done that I'm willing to say on a public podcast. June 2018, I was living in Vegas. I went out to Utah to Zion National Park with my best friend. On the way back, went to a bar. It's a long story. Don't feel like a point of the story is we get held at gunpoint though. So getting held at gunpoint was definitely one of the craziest things. Don't talk to drunk people in Utah. And if they ask you what you so yeah, I mean everything was fine. Like essentially this guy pulled a gun on us at one point, and then thankfully his drunk girlfriend saved us. Was like, don't do that, no, and like pulled his hand down and blah blah blah. And we were like, all right, and we just ran into the car and like literally jumped into the car and full blast. Yeah, I mean
you run your legs are like going in a circle.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. It was, and like I ran, it was like maybe 50 feet, maybe not even that far. Ran so fast. I felt like I was running track. I was speeding. But yeah, that was the craziest thing that ever happened to me and I've ever done, was get held at gunpoint in the middle of Utah.
I feel like you could like people never realize their potential until like you got to run from some shit. I ran from a skunk once, and like I tell you what, I thought I could have entered the NFL Combine after that.
Yeah, you're that. Yeah.
I was just trying not to get sprayed.
Bro, when you're scared and you run, it's
intense.
It's a whole different thing. Adrenaline is a whole, like that. You could do a podcast on adrenaline. Like just what you can achieve on adrenaline and what people do on adrenaline is like, adrenaline is shock. Shock really interesting to me. I don't know too much about like shock trauma. Like when people are like get hurt and they're in shock, but they don't realize they're hurt. Like that's so crazy to me. Like that's just a whole concept. I don't even want to go on that tangent, but like imagine getting shot and you're like in shock, like from an explosion or something, and then like something pierces you, but you're in such shock that like your body doesn't even comprehend that your arm might be detached. You're just, I don't know, shock and adrenaline and all that stuff. That's a whole podcast. But like,
could you imagine a podcast about adrenaline? Just some dude sitting here, like he's coked out or something, just like, and we're gonna,
like that's exactly. You're gonna hear some good stuff from him. You're gonna hear stuff like that you would have never even thought of. I'll tell you that. Sure. Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for the cast.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope that you're crushing it one day and people are like, dude, you were like episode 5 or 6 or something. And I'm like, dude, he's on episode 900 something now, and look at him. He's got Joe Rogan on his episode. So that'll be pretty crazy. But yeah, man, appreciate it.
It's a great fucking